Yeah. I tell her these last 5 minutes with you have been the best 5 minutes I've spent with anyone in the last 5 years. And every word of that was true. I mean, she opened her door holding a bottle of champagne in one hand and the Maltese Falcon and Blue Velvet DVDs in the other. She was wearing this black XL, these arms are snakes t-shirt with the sleeves cut off that covered the tiny blue shorts she was also wearing. And the shirt, she had bought that at a show she snuck into in Austin, where she was living at the time. Just 1 year away from getting her bachelor's degree in art history from the University of Texas. On her coffee table was a copy of Jim Harrison's gorgeous book, The Woman Lit by Fireflies, which she was nearly 2/3 of the way through. Death of a Ladies' Man, the Leonard Cohen record, was playing, and then she hopped over the back of the couch to sit next to me and picked a notebook up off the coffee table and proceeded to read me 6 pages of a short story she's working on for one of her classes in the creative writing program at San Francisco State. Well, she'll earn her MFA in creative writing from in 2015. What she read broke my heart. It made me laugh and shocked me. What struck me the most, though, was the fearlessness of how she wrote and the beauty that was born from her not being afraid to write from her gut, because that's where the good stuff always comes from, always. And then everything else will eventually come together after that, and it'll be honest and heartfelt. So many fucking people who say they want to be writers approach the art from a place of fear instead of passion. If you're working on your first book and it's not done yet and there's no publishing deal in place, which is basically all of us at the beginning, and then like a third of the way through your first draft when you find yourself stuck because you never took the time or put in the effort to really think your idea through and develop characters beforehand, and you're actually spending time thinking about if it's even worth it, because what if no one likes it? You're fucking doomed already and might want to move on to something else, not another book, but a career. The moment you begin to write for anyone other than yourself is the moment your writing loses its soul. None of this is guaranteed. Blaze could sell 100,000 copies in its first year, but that doesn't mean my next book will be published. I second guess myself all the time during every draft of every book, but it has nothing to do with how I think a particular story or book will be received by anyone else. I'm second guessing choices I may have made earlier in the book or in an earlier draft, or whether or not I should have followed or not followed a subplot that naturally arose from the characters while I was writing, which didn't exist in any of the outlining I'd done prior to beginning the book, which is another reason why character development beforehand is so important. So many plot twists and turns in my books were a result of characters driving them and doing things I never planned on them doing, because you can't plan for it. By the time you're working on your first draft, these characters should be alive and feel like real fucking people. And as you all know, the people in your life pull a lot of shit you weren't ready for and throw nasty curveballs at you. And you do some random ass bizarro shit, and that's what should be happening in your stories. And if it's not, that means you haven't given them anything other than a name and age and perhaps an appearance. Your characters, all of them, need to have things in their lives to risk or lose or gain. People are naturally conflicted every day. People live with fears and doubts and joy and make crucial decisions all the time throughout their days that not only affect them, but everyone around them. And that's what your character should naturally be doing when you're writing, and most of it can't be planned for ahead of time. And if your characters aren't doing that, it usually means that one day you thought this would make a great story, and then you named some people and started writing, and I bet 50 pages in, you had no idea what else to write, and you felt so fucking stuck and stopped writing, even though you were in love with the first 20 pages or so, and the writing was beautiful. And perhaps it was, and perhaps there was something great about that idea, but an idea is nothing without execution, and execution start with planning. Anyway, to get back to my point about what I heard that night and why it was able to strike a nerve inside of me the way it did, and that's because of the care I could tell that went into those pages. This was a story that was written from the gut by someone who trusted their instincts and was writing for themselves and writing it honestly. This was a story written by a beautiful girl with a passion, and finally, this was a story that was written without intention. And what I mean by that is this amazing person sat alone in a room and bled for hours because this is what she wants to do with her life, and nobody fortunate enough to spend their lives doing the one thing they care the most about and live and breathe for gets to that point without wanting to spend every free second of their time working towards that. As a writer, you walk right into the thick of the war every day, then you sit down and you go to battle because you have to, because you need to. And the last thing on your mind is, what if this doesn't work out? What if this doesn't get published? What if this offends someone? What if I do this and nobody likes it? None of that bullshit is present at all, and none of that bullshit is even prevalent. You're doing this for yourself. This is your happiness. And the only things that matter are trusting your instincts, trusting yourself, and knowing that you're telling one hell of a fucking story, and you're telling it because you have to, not because you want a publishing deal, fame, or notoriety. These last 5 minutes with you have been the best 5 minutes I've spent with anyone in the last 5 years. And yes, love, just being around you is an inspiration, and you make me want to be better all the time.